Hello and welcome back to Logan Sounds Off. Today I'm going to be doing an album review of not actually an album this time, but a compilation. Today I'm going to be reviewing The World Won't Listen by The Smiths. And this was actually bought by my dad, so this is my dad's copy. And I have it in my collection now that we listen to it together. And this is a really cool album. I'm happy to see all the lyrics here for the album. But this was recorded between January 1985 and September 1986. But this is nearly a compilation of music, which is really cool. And I didn't actually know that until recently when I saw The Queen is Dead on vinyl. And I actually discovered that a lot of the tracks off that was on this one. And I realised, oh, there's a compilation. And it kind of made sense because a lot of the songs are very good on this. So I was kind of going, it was kind of like this is a very good album for an album, so it made sense to be a compilation. And this would contain some hits that I think you guys, any Smiths fan would definitely know, but just people who maybe aren't into the Smiths or are just familiar with the genre but they don't listen to the Smiths, you might know Panic, Ask, Bigmouth Strikes Again, There's a Light That Never Goes Out, The Boy with the Thorn in His Side, just songs like that are really, really good, that people might know and are very popular and for good reason. So I'm really excited to speak about this album. Just as a whole, it has this bright tone to it, which is really cool, but it still maintains a really just dark sound. It has a very, very interesting sound throughout, especially Marcy's singing is incredible throughout this. And Johnny Marr's guitar playing is very good as well. Marcy has some very interesting lyrics throughout this album that I like, but there are some weird ones as well. And especially with just the song Panic is a great opening, bright, just fast paced, short song. That's really, really cool. I love Panic. And I think this is one of the songs that really introduced me to the Smiths. I might have heard it via the radio, or I might have heard it on I Know I Have a Best Of compilation of the Smiths as a CD. And I used to listen to that a lot before I started my record collection and before I got a record player originally. So listening to the Smiths again with this track was quite cool. It isn't my favourite Smiths track though, but it is very good. I do like Panic, and I do think it's a very nice song to open up the album with. And then you also have Ask, which is another song that's fast paced, but it follows Panic very well. It's a very good track. I really love the lyricism throughout this song, and Marcy's singing style. It's really, really good. And Johnny Marr's guitar playing in Ask is very good as well. So I would prefer Ask to Panic. I do think it is just a bit more interesting than Panic. Panic can be quite repetitive throughout, not as in a bad way, just after a while it does kind of just wears on you, but Ask is always a really great song to hear. And then you have London, which is completely different to Panic and Ask, and kind of has a more punk attitude. It's quite cool actually. I really like London simply because of that. And it has a lot more of a harsher sound to it, and it feels a bit more intense. And I do like London, and although it's very different to Ask or Panic, it does follow on very well from them, and it introduces a new sound to the Smiths. For anybody who might have picked this up when it was released, and just picked it up because I wanted to learn more about the Smiths, this is kind of cool to have London after Ask, yet it doesn't throw you about, which I do have to say throughout this compilation, although it is their best songs, they do run into each other very well, and it's not your typical compilation, it's just very good like that. And then you have Bigmouth Strikes Again, and the lyricism on this is very good. This would be one of my favourite songs regarding lyricism. Again, this is more of a punk attitude, yet it still is kind of like I sound like one of the tracks actually on this, Half a Person. And Half a Person is one of my favourite tracks in this album. But Bigmouth Strikes Again kind of reminds me of that song. And then after that you have Shakespeare's Sister. And Shakespeare's Sister is a very much a punk track. It's really, really cool though, and I think I have that on 12-inch as well. I have a 12-inch of Shakespeare's Sister on 33 RPM, and it's a really, really cool. Or sorry, no, not 33 RPM. Yeah, no, I think it's actually 45. It's a 12-inch 45 RPM single, but Shakespeare's Sister is really cool. It reminds me of London with that punk attitude, yet at the same time, it doesn't kind of clash or contrast with Bigmouth Strikes Again in any way, which is quite interesting. And then after that, you have There Is a Light That Never Goes Out, and this is my favourite track, although it has some quite interesting lyrics. I might actually read some of them out. It's very, very weird, and it's one of the things that stood out to me. Like, here. And if a double-decker bus crashes into us, to die by your side is such a heavenly way to die. And if a 10-ton truck kills the both of us, to die by your side, the pleasure and the privilege is mine. So, quite interesting lyrics there from Morrissey. Quite grim, but also quite beautiful. Just about that undying love. Quite nice. Yet it's a bit tainted by the dark themes. So, I mean, I love the song though. It's a very good song. And if I was to recommend one track from this whole album, it would be There Is a Light That Never Goes Out. And if I was to recommend any others, I'd start off with the next track on this album, Shoplifters of the World Unite. And this is just humorous, but really, really interesting. I mean, there is a funny aspect to this, and again, lyrics from Morrissey on this are actually brilliant. So, for example, this is the lyric: my only weakness is a list of crimes. My only weakness is, well, never mind. Shoplifters of the world, unite and take over. Shoplifters of the world, hand it over. And he repeats hand it over for a little while. And that, I just thought, shoplifters of the world. And the way he sings it though is it's got a humorous element, but it's not meant to be funny. Like, it's just genuine, which is quite cool. And for me, I just find it a bit funny. And listening to that song was very interesting for me. And it would be one of my favourite tracks. I'd say There Is a Light That Never Goes Out, then Shoplifters of the World Unite, and then we'll get to Half a Person, which is coming soon. And then you have The Boy with the Thorn in His Side. And I know this is one of the Smiths' more bigger hits, but I'm not really much of a fan. I mean, I think some of the more unspoken about songs, like Shoplifters of the World Unite and Half a Person, I would really, really prefer. And as a whole, side B is very interesting, especially with songs like Half a Person. I quite like side B, which is, it's really, really different tones. So I'm just going to speak about it in general, because it's very interesting. But first, I just love to speak about Half a Person before I get to general aspects of side B. Half a Person is quite interesting. Or is it Half a Person that I love? Yeah, here we go. Asleep, first of all, is like a lullaby. I do want to speak about this before I get to Half a Person, which is one of my favourite tracks in the album. I'm just trying to remember. Yeah, Half a Person is my third favourite song in the album. Asleep is very interesting because it's quite like, it reminds me of a lullaby. It's really stripped back in comparison to other songs by the Smiths, and it's just beautiful. It's a lovely track. And then you have Unlovable after that, which is a bit grim. But then you have Half a Person, which is my favourite track. Or sorry, one of my favourite tracks. And it's a bit weird, but it's quite cool. I mean, it's one of those songs that really stuck with me after listening to the Smiths' album. And I've listened to this so many times, this particular album, because I was really excited to review it. And Half a Person just stood out to me so much. It really stood out to me so much. But side B in general is really, really good. I like side B not as much as side A though. Side B feels a lot softer than side A at some parts. I do love Johnny Marr's guitar on this. I really, really do. He's an incredible guitarist, and he actually covered a song by the Smiths called "How Soon Is Now," and it was really cool seeing him cover that himself. It's on YouTube, and I will link it below if you want to watch. That it's really, really good. If you're a fan of the Smiths, you really will love that. But this whole side B is quite good. I like it, but I think it's just has more of a, like, although they're hits, I just really love the power of the first half of this album. And this album's really interesting because it maintains many tones at once. It has a dark tone, yet it still remains a bright sound. And that's where Morrissey's lyricism, kind of grim lyricism sometimes, it can be grim or it can be really beautiful, clashes, and not grim as in a bad way, just, but Morrissey's lyrics can really contrast with Johnny Marr's bright guitars, like especially on something like, which isn't on this album, but This Charming Man. That's like really upbeat guitars, whereas the song's not very upbeat, so I just thought that was quite interesting. How they contrast yet they work together, and I think that's what's the beauty of the Smiths. So as a compilation, I really like this album. I'm really happy that I do have it in my collection, and it's just altogether a really cool album. Really, really strange though. You've got your lyric sheet and everything, which is really cool to have. So the voice is by Morrissey, guitars by Johnny Marr, the bass guitar by Andy Rourke, and the drums by Mike Joyce. And the drums actually in this are very good, especially in Shoplifters of the World. It's really, really good. So what am I going to rate this? Because it's compilation, so it's very interesting. I'm going to rate this actually a 4.5. I mean, it's good, but there are a couple of, in my opinion, and I know this is a bit weird to say, but a couple of duds just that don't react well with me. I mean, I love the album and I will keep listening to it the whole way through. I don't think there are any skippable songs on this, but the term skippable now has just become kind of a debate. So look, listen to the album whichever way you like. If you want to listen to it, it will be linked below for you to hear and enjoy, hopefully as much as I did. And thank you so much for watching this album review. So that's the Smiths, The World Won't Listen. Links to all of the Smiths' stuff down below if you want to check it out. So yeah, that's what I'm rating the Smiths, The World Won't Listen. 4.5 stars. I hope you enjoyed my review. Thank you so much for watching, and have a lovely day. Goodbye.